Ba-dum dum dum ba-dum boom. That's
Me. Test.
that seems to work.
Me. Lala lala.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Okay. So yes. Image should be part of ACC drive. And then fire up ACC drive. There we go. The levels. Fuck's sakes, why does it always go back to always on top? So annoying. Stop it, I do not want you to be on top. So we talk is slightly louder than the engine. That's good. Okay. Monza, man. Not a big fan. Okay, does not like that curve as would be expected. makes sense. Brakes. Good. Tires. Tiny bit hot. But none of my concern at the moment. So one, two, three, four. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flat car with no wing. I guess that is Monza in a nutshell. Oh. Oh wow, that's heavy. Ooh, it's gonna take a lot of patience. Yeah, wait. make the car way too understeery. So weird how it's pulling to either direction with the go setups. Always. Jesus. Jesus Christ. Can this be cured by brake mass? Ouch. Jesus, super low wing. Okay, so what if just for the memes? Nope. Just want to see what it does. are definitely overheating, so that needs to be addressed. It's like a stupid number just for the memes. Zero anti-roll. God damn it. Okay, so we're down to 67.2. Oh, fuck's sakes. Oh, come on. Let's try that. Say anything about wear when I'm sliding like that? Oh yeah, and there it is, there it is, there it is. There it is. almost on me. But I have a feeling that these bumps are not valid anymore, that this setup is outdated.
Beebman 85. Your telemetry data blocks half the screen, just to let you know, winky face.
Half the screen? Oh, would you look at that? Ah, yes, I use a little trick to not have to perfectly align the goddamn ACC drive stuff. And apparently it moved at some point. Let's fix that. Just have to make sure I can see. Something like this. Thank you so much for notifying me. Very appreciates. This should be a bit more in line with something like this. Yes. Let's see.
Beebman 85. Thumbs up.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Let's see. Another thing I want to do though. Where Rel is my volume thing. That is not the mixer. Being blessed with great eyesight. Bane of my existence. There we go. So if I increase this, I should be able to hear you better. Any commentary on audio levels would also be appreciated. I tend to do adjustments after reviewing VODs. Because I'm lazy. Let's see. Yeah, 37 is where it's usually is supposed to be. Blah de blah. It's giving Go setups a run for their money.
Beebman 85. Sounds alright.
Aye. So yeah, as you can see, I'm running a ridiculous brake bias at the moment, but with low wing, at least the car isn't stepping out when coming off the brakes, which is nice. Oh, whoa, whoa. Really gripped on that corner. Whew. Super legal. This track is so fucking bouncy though. It's terrible in VR. My eyes are screaming for mercy. Damn it. Oh, I forgot about TC2 being off. Car does not give a shit if the rear is going sideways. Oh, Jesus, fuck. I think I need to bump up the pressure on my rears a bit. Rear left is not providing much stability. And also, I think caster is a bit too high still. And if we look at averages, let's see. Yes, mode settings. -2 +2. Staying focused on this track is challenging though. He's not my favorite, let's say. Oof.
Speedman 85. There is no need to stay on the outside of Parabolica unless you're trying to set up a quali lap and need the last few hundredths.
Yep.
Go inside and look for the tower in the distance.
Yep. I'm currently just trying to, like, the main issue I'm struggling with is that I'm not used to running low wing setups, and I really don't know Monza. So at the moment my main focus is to try to enter Parabolica without upsetting the rear, and that tends to lead to the outside line. But yes, you are 100% correct. There is nothing to be gained from it, especially if I'm trying to defend. You can say that this is what I'm fearful of, and trying to, like, explore, teach myself, like, the safe way, rather than training myself to compensate for oversteer. But it is probably annoying as shit to watch. And I also struggle here, like, I know I need to set up the car and then be on full throttle, like, before the apex in order to carry enough speed through, but I don't have the level of experience on this track to quite execute on it yet. And therefore you see a lot of rookie stuff. Not that I guess I view myself like maybe as a advanced rookie intermediate on a good day. But on this track,
85. Make it a double apex. Brake late to the inside. Wait for the car to rotate. Second apex is where the pit wall begins.
you're thinking about Parabolica or the first chicane? I guess it's Parabolica. Yeah, like in a front engine car, I feel a lot more comfortable here, but
Beebman 85. Parabolica.
yeah, like I know, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing roughly, and try to stay even more to the inside. But with the Go setup in its current condition, where I've just been playing with brake bias and added one more wing, I don't feel confident yet. But I do appreciate the feedback. Do keep it coming. Do keep it coming. I am just very prone to describe what, or try to put into context what I'm trying to do, which is basically learn the car and the track. I have fucking no idea what I'm doing. Like, even this corner, very simple corner, but I'm scared to death of it, because yeah, I just died so many times here in mid-engine cars.
Beebman 85. Have you tried upping the preload?
No, nah, not as of yet. I'm giving... At the moment, I started, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. No, I can't have driven for 1.5 hours. Anyway, it feels like 30 minutes. And I'm trying to give the current iteration of Go setups the benefit of the doubt due to my avoidant nature in regards to this track before I start playing with things. I mean, the setup is supposed to be fast, but I think maybe they have failed to account for changes in 195, but they're just such good drivers that it doesn't really matter to them. So at the moment I'm just limiting myself to basic aero stuff, making sure tires, brakes, and yeah, brake temps, balance, all that stuff is within optimal operating temperature, and brute forcing myself to understand what they want to do or what they think the car is supposed to be able to do. At the point where I am certain that I am not able to do what they do, that's when I start. I guess that's the tower. That's the point where I start fucking about with more mechanical stuff. My greatest fear is that I'm nerfing a setup due to my own incompetence, basically. While yes, I do understand that making the car more suitable to me is probably better and or a faster way at least to getting good laps, but at the same time it doesn't. I feel like when I do that I'm not experiencing what the car is capable of. From the perspective of an alien, which is what I aspire to. I will likely never reach that point, but hey, a man can dream, yes. Let's say I am an unconventional learner. I like exploring. And I like failing on my own premises.
Beatman 85. Then explore the levels of grip, tongue sticking out.
Yep. Hence the title of today's show, Coming to Grips with Monza. Fuck. I feel like this is kind of case in point. Like, even though I've only been fucking around with brake pads, had I at this stage started to playing with mechanical stuff, mechanical grip and stuff, like I would only be compensating from my own. Yep. I can't talk. Like, if I had started with like preload and all that other stuff earlier than this point, I feel like I would have been making the changes on an incorrect premise. Which I, shall not say more about. It is easy to blame the setup, to put it that way. It is easier to blame the setup than to acknowledge your own shortcomings. And that is what I'm trying to train myself to do. Not blame the setup. Acknowledge that I have a lot to learn. And utilizing the tools that are available to me while I am in race condition. Bias, electronics. And like a little like crutch in adding one more wing. Just as to not fucking burn myself out after 30 minutes.
Beebman 85. Sure, you can also try to go through a wall with your head instead of a sledgehammer grinning squinting face.
Let me ponder that one, because I was actually working on a similar analogy. Let me see if I can break that one down. I would look at it this way. When acquiring a setup, you're basically going to a professional, quote unquote, and obtaining a sledgehammer. And like there's an implied level of trust that the professional has created a sledgehammer that works as a sledgehammer should, right? As opposed to modifying the sledgehammer based on my lack of understanding of how to use a sledgehammer. At this point, I'm not convinced that Go-To under 1.9.5 is a poorly constructed sledgehammer. But it may be off balance, just a little bit. And I guess, if we're to elaborate on that further, or delve into that further, fuck me, that's just stupid. I would like to be able to pick up any sledgehammer, which is created by professionals, and understand how to use it, as opposed to try to modify every sledgehammer I come across to fit my needs. Because that doesn't make me... How do I put it? I guess it boils down to a lot of things, like philosophical differences I have with
Beebman 85.
With people, let's say.
Well, kinda. You go to a tailor and just grab a suit from the rack and expect it to fit. Winky face.
Yes, but there are pre-manufactured, like they have suits in different sizes, right? And the analogy here would be the esports version versus the safe version. And if I may dictate how what they are in regards to sizes, say esport is a dress or a suit that fits a fit individual, and the esports and the safe setup is for a slightly chubber individual.
Beebman 85. Yeah, still gotta make it fit you to look good.
Yes, that is true. But at the same time, my thought is, you can't, like, I guess for myself at least, I would like to not be the one who is accommodated. I would rather be able to fit into any suit and use it, as opposed to having a shared suit which is basically too loose for my liking. And that's the kind of like a again, it comes down to what is a good suit and what is the optimal body type to fit a suit created by a tailor who knows how to make really good looking suits. Of course, one could make the argument that a really good looking suit would only fit an anorexic person or something like that, and that's not healthy. But I don't feel like go-to setups are that kind of suit. Hymo would more be that kind of suit. Like, you have to have a really slender body to fit into it and be able to stretch and utilize your body fully. But yeah, the core argument here is basically, I don't want to be the guy who expects a car to be nerfed to suit my lack of preparations, I guess, or willingness to try to lose the weight in order to fit into a quote-unquote good-looking suit. So while I understand your argument, the whole tailoring thing, but if I were the only one who was driving or using the suit, fine, I would tailor it to suit my needs if it helps me advance to get down with the ladies, you know. But at the moment I am like exploring, okay, what is a good suit? And how looser would it need to be to at least make it so that people can bend over without ripping it?
Then let's experiment to fit you into the wrong suit. TC3/5-6 for a laugh.
Oh yeah, no, I'm well aware. I've been running 6.3, ABS3, TC6 or TC5, and TC2.3 is my comfort zone. But right now, the problem isn't, so far as I see it, at least, this is my problem. It's not oversteer on exits, it's oversteer on coming off the brake. That's what keeps getting me. And TC2 or TC will not help me there. The only thing that will help me there, so far I can see, is basically higher ABS, like a lot
Even
higher
85,
ABS or more
which
wing.
is why I suggested preload.
Yes, but preload also nerfs exits. And that is what I do not want to do. I don't want the car to accommodate my lack of understanding how to drive a car or a setup that is supposed to be fast. I feel that is a worse value proposition than doing so. Especially 1.5 hours in on a track I've rarely drive in a car I've never driven on this track before. So I guess that's the philosophical difference we have. Or disagreement, I suppose. Is a better word to be using. But I hear you,
Even 85.
I understand what you mean.
How does it nerf exit when you are waiting to go on throttle anyway?
How does it affect coming off of brakes? Like preload, so far as I understand it, is basically forcing the inside wheel to not rotate at a higher rate than the outside wheel as to maintain stability on exits, primarily. Fucking hell. Very low ride height on this setup, but then again, that might be some misconception I am operating under. Like, to me, increasing preload just makes the car feel like...
It's over 9,000 RPM. Oi, what's this then?
Hello. To put it this way, like, high preload versus, for me, feels like I am pulling a carriage. Low preload means that I can step on it more and use the rear to get more rotation. Because both wheels will be spinning at a more equal rate. Specifically, the inside tire will slip and force the car around, like this. It has very little, it has something to do, but it has less to do with that than it has the other thing. That problem you just saw is basically brake bias. The brake bias allowing the rears to slow the car more than the aerodynamics is able to deal with due to the low wing. At least that's how I perceive or I've understood things. I am open to being wrong. It's like you can see, like, there is nothing, like, this is fine, I can
It's
fully
over
control
9,000
it.
RPM. Need a test driver?
Oh yeah, no, I basically it's a go-to with one extra wing and brake bias more to the front. Like 90% of what you're seeing here is basically me not knowing how to drive the 296 on Monza. And also a healthy amount of me not knowing how to drive Monza in general. And the discussion is rooted in me not wanting to make changes to mechanical grip unnecessarily and train myself to drive with what is potentially a nerfed car, simply because I am not familiar with how the track surface affects handling and how the creator of the setup expects the car to be driven. Meanwhile, BB is trying to make my life much easier and less of a pain in the ass by making the car conform to my needs, while I am trying to adapt myself to the car and the setup's needs.
Beebman85. Have you thought about that the creator is wrong?
Yes,
Thinking
and
face.
that was what I said initially, that I'm not at the stage where I think that I don't feel confident in my abilities to drive this car on this track, to even have that opinion yet. Therefore, I am limiting myself to only experimenting with shit I can do on track.
It's over 9,000 RPM. If the E1 server is up, would you like me to run a few laps of telemetry for you?
Yeah, sure. I am on the E1 server now, so go right ahead. Right now I'm basically just trying to train myself to not burn the tires and stay on a decent line. And the biggest problem is I really don't have a...
It's over 9,000 RPM. Okay, give me a few moments and I'll be right with you.
Yeah, take the whole time you need, man. I'll be here. But yeah, in short, I forgot what I was about to say, but yeah, I think you get where I'm coming from. Like, it's a confidence thing, and I want, basically, if somebody is able to set insane times with this setup, and I'm not even close to setting insane times with that setup, then it is on me. It is not on the setup, even if the setup might not be optimal for 195, as it is still early days. The time has been set, I am miles off. Therefore, I have a lot of exploring to do before I can say for certain that it is pointless for me to try to adapt and then start looking for changes. That's how I roll. It's like, if we step away from clothing as analogies, which is a valid analogy, and if we go venture into the scientific realm, who am I to question algebra? Who am I to question, like, even just basic maths? If it is established that something plus something equals something, and it is reproducible, I would rather conform to that, given there is sufficient evidence, which there are plenty, I would say, than try to make math conform to me. And I'm not saying you're wrong, BB. You would probably do X amount of changes and be faster than me. But you have much more experience than me. So I believe, like, even if you loaded into the safe setup, you would still outrun me in this car on this track. So for you, sure, viable. For me, as a person who is still coming to grips with driving at this pace at all, I value trying to understand how to drive a really loose setup being more beneficial than potentially unnecessarily nerfing a setup. Because simply by shifting the brake bias forward, making the car a bit less oversteery on lift-off and turn-in, has cured, like, nearly all the problems I have.
Beebman85. That would imply that there is one perfect setup. That does not exist. Just ACC has oligarchized setups for some weird reason.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I feel you're missing the point. And that is on me and my ongoing failure to communicate, I guess. To put it this way, like I've spent when I started ACC, I spent months on trying exactly this, like to make cars that were accommodating my level of driving. And it never resulted in me going particularly faster and getting better results. I would argue it was quite the opposite. At the point where I just accepted that, okay, there are people who know more about me in regards to creating setups, getting hold of those setups, and trying to learn how to utilize those setups, my performance skyrocketed. So that's why I'm so against like the whole... I don't want to like call out anyone or anything, I'll just speak in general terms, but I feel like it is quite backwards trying to make cars accommodate the slower driver rather than, or the driver who struggles with the car is more appropriate to say, than to push that driver to improve, given that the other drivers who are sharing the car is in fact able to control it.
Beevman 85. Real life does it wrong then, winky face.
Well, I'd like sources on that. I'd like sources on that. Because as far as I have understood motorsport, sure, accommodate the driver's needs. Up until a point which is reasonable in regards to safety. This is a sim. There is no death. Of course, there is death in sense of losing out unnecessarily, but there is no death. Literal death. Now, I'm pretty sure that Andre will jump on now, load up the same setup, make the same changes I have, or even just drive it as it is, and simply his experience will obliterate my times. So that is in of itself an argument against what you are claiming. While I understand what you are saying, that it is better to make the car suit me, but what I'm saying is I don't want to have the car suit me by weighing it down. I want to understand how I can reach a level of fitness which will make me fit into the suit that looks good, so to speak. I understand I'm being very, very, what's the word? Rigid. But I feel like I don't feel. It is all rooted in me wanting to not be the guy I just described, basically. I'd rather be the guy who puts in the time and effort in order to try to understand something that is quote unquote optimal. Or closer to optimal. Not perfect. I'm not saying like Go setups are the God's gift to humanity, but they are better than CDA and they are less murdery than Hymo and Jose Lopez setups, etc. I guess that the root of my arguments stem from me acknowledging that I do not know what the fuck I am doing most of the times when it comes to mechanical grip. So I would rather spend a lot of time trying to understand what people who I assume, based on their confidence in their product to charge money for it, that they know what they are doing to a degree. And that the data they are providing are accurate. That it requires a level of trust, but I have that trust because it has paid off for me. Like going from CDA to Go is always beneficial, always an improvement for me. To the same degree that going from safe setup or aggressive or safe default to CDA is an improvement. And if you're wondering why I continue seeking the outside line, it is to build speed, to build a repertoire in regards to the braking distance.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Would say that CDA is hardly an improvement over aggressive. Subjective OFC.
I would strongly disagree with that. Example, Sandwart. You cannot flat out with the default, safe default unless you take an extremely late entry into the last corner. Meanwhile, CDA lets you do it flat out from halfway between the two last corners. If that is not an objective improvement, I do not know what is. However, I'm not claiming that CDA is a lot better.
Beebman 85. Look, I'm not here to argue, you do you. But maybe you should look at why you have better success with Go than Hymo.
Please elaborate. Because I feel like I know. Hymo has way too much rotation on liftoff.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Well, for my driving style it's hardly an improvement. Still the same understeer issues.
Yes, but my point is there less or is there more understeer?
It's over 9,000 RPM. Hence why I said subjective LOL. It's over 9,000 RPM. Around the same.
Yes, but around the same way is leaning towards one or the other direction, right? And my question was basically, is there more or less in aggressive default in a given car on Sandward in this scenario? Or whatever track, I guess. And I'm not arguing out of malice here. I'm arguing out of interest and to basically have you guys steal my views. I am flexible. I need arguments that I can mull over And then at that later point, maybe I'll agree with you. But as my mind perceives things, as I am doing laps here right now, I'm hearing a lot of the same in regards to like what I'm hearing is basically nerf the setup to fit everyone. While I am saying I want to understand what the setup is supposed to be doing in the with the like intentions of the creator of the setup before I even come to that conclusion and start changing things. So please don't feel I'm trying my best not to be dismissive or a cunt or anything. I'm just genuinely curious, and I like discussing things. Also, I'm not a big fan of tailored suits. Sure, I'm for comfortable clothing, but I don't know how to make clothes, therefore I buy them, and I try to use them to the best of my abilities without being offensive. That's a shit analogy, but hey, there you go.
It's over 9,000 RPM. I personally prefer Hymo over Go because of its ability to rotate. If you can tame it, it's extremely fast.
Yes, 100% agree. I 100% agree. That is why I do not want to make this setup, which is already has less rotation in it, give me less rotation because I am unable to control the car due to my level of experience. And this is the point I feel BB is... Well, his intentions are good, but I don't feel like he is acknowledging what I'm trying to say. And that is fine. That is completely fine. He is more than likely correct that I would be faster if I made changes, but my objective isn't to make changes to become faster. My objective is to see how fast I can become within the parameters set by somebody who is fast. Because if I operate on the premise that I need to make everything suit me to be fast, I'm not learning why people are fast in things that does not suit me. So I'm willing to go through the discomfort trying to understand these things rather than just go or to make myself a tailor-made suit, which might be suboptimal or less optimal, I should say, than the pre-made suits.
Beebman 85. And that is the crux. If you are not to a point where you are able to control a particular setup, how will you ever build the confidence to go faster?
By practicing, which I have a lot of time to do, and I do. It's like the first time you... It's like anything you're doing for the first time, right? You will stumble, you will fall, you will fail, but with repetition, you gain understanding, and with understanding comes confidence. So therefore, I am not attacking it from the angle where I assume that my inability to keep a car on track is because of the setup. It is me. And I understand what I've reached the level where I can, by looking at what I am doing as I'm doing it, understand where I am sort of failing and try to accommodate for it or make changes so I fail less next time. I might not be demonstrating it really well right now as we are discussing and I'm driving, but I feel that like at the moment I'm doing consistent laps and I'm not off track or losing my rear like I was the first 15 minutes or the first 30 minutes or the first hour. Like, there is slow but steady improvement within the limits imposed on me by driving a setup which is arguably, under the circumstances, too aggressive for me. Because, one, I suck at Monza. Two, I have never really driven the 296 on Monza. As such, I have no basis to make any conclusions whether a setup is good or bad. I am simply trusting that the guy who made the setup are not as inept as I am at the present moment in time. If that makes sense. All of this stems basically from the first time I actually went on YouTube and grabbed who was it, the South African guy. Don't remember his name, but he's a fast driver. He publishes his setups for free on YouTube with his hot laps. The first time I just went like,
over
okay.
9,000 RPM. Luke Addison.
Luke Addison, yes, the man himself. Because I was hell bent on.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Or another one.
No, it was Luke Addison. But yeah, like, basically all of this stems from me spending my first 4 months or 3 to 4 months in the game carrying over my experience or understanding of GTR Evolution, old title, and how to analyze Motec and make my own setups fairly effectively. I wanted to do that for this game, and I spent four months where I was basically only driving test laps, analyzing data, making changes, repeating over and over and over, and really not progressing at all. Up until the point where I went, okay, fuck it, I'm not improving. The setup, making changes to the setup isn't really helping me. Let's see what I can get for free. And I found Luke Addison, and it is especially why I'm using the sand vortex example, because I loaded up his sandward setup, and I was immediately 2.5 seconds faster. And I was able to floor it through the last corner, which was impossible in aggressive defaults. Like, straight up impossible. It's a long time ago, I know, but whoop, the point stands. Like, I feel that there's so much ego, and I'm not talking about any of you guys, but there's so much ego involved in this that it cannot be me, it must be the car. Therefore, car must adapt to me as opposed to me adapting to a car which has been set up by somebody who are faster and have more experience, basically. Goddamn, I'm training myself to do shitty exits here now. But yes, thank you for forcing me to think about this. It is always interesting to analyze your own beliefs, so to speak. But I still feel that I might not feel the same way tomorrow after I've had some time to think about this, but there are plenty of examples within our ranks where people aren't even warming up their tires before they start blaming the setup, right? And that's what I wanna, basically, I wanna steelman my perception of this being the wrong way of going about it in this discussion. And these tires are starting to die. But I have been out for, fuck, that's the wrong button, half an hour, so, and I've been going slowly, tires are under pressured. God damn it, that's too wide. So yes, your counter arguments, they are appreciated. They will be taken thoroughly into consideration at a point where I am not driving. But at present, I am not convinced that forcing the car to adapt to me is better than me adapting to the car. And I say that with all due respect. All due respect.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Just washing some dishes and I'll be on.
No worries, dude. The only thing I have on the agenda for the evening is to take the dog for a walk in a little while and eat some food, and then I'll be back hammering away at Monza, because I'm gonna need a lot of practice to be competitive in tier 1 here. I'm so fucking slow. God damn it. TC2, I want it, but I am resisting. Because that was just horrible throttle application. Okay, so hug, tiny little nudge, and then exit. Slower than my
best.
best.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Train your foot. It's over 9,000 RPM. LOL.
Yes, that is what I am trying to do. But sometimes it gets a bit too eager. And I feel like, yeah, that's the whole thing, right? Like, I am not going to train my foot if I am outsourcing the work to the electronics. If it were true that outsourcing to the electronics would be overall faster, regardless of how well trained my foot was, then I would go for the electronics. But now that I'm practicing and trying to explore and figure out what goes and not, I feel it's counterproductive to basically put support wheels on the car. And that is where basically the philosophical disagreement stems from in this rather long and ongoing discussion, which I have been enjoying. Do believe me when I say, and I appreciate the effort and I understand the arguments. Ah, my God. Jesus fuck, that's so bad.
Beatman 85. Last argument I'll say, gonna go for dinner after you need to build a house from a stable platform, that is your confidence. If you don't have confidence, you won't even go to the limits.
I feel that is a willfully... No, I don't agree with that. I don't go... Let me stop and read that in case I missed something. Let's see. Last argument, I say blah blah blah. You need to build a house from a stable platform. That's your confidence. If you don't have confidence, you won't even go to the limits. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, BB, but here's my view on it. I don't know what the limits are at this stage. Even if I accommodate myself by making the car more kind, I still don't understand what the limits are. And I would rather go sideways to the limits than just mosey about and not know if there ever is potential for a limit which is faster. Like right now I'm not driving to set 48s. Right now I'm driving to identify where my braking markers are, how I can better get into a corner, sacrifice speed in and gaining speed out, etc, etc, etc. And this is why I feel like immediately jump into the conclusion that changing the setup is beneficial is incorrect. And I may well be wrong about this, but this approach has increased my level or abilities as a driver so much more in such a much shorter time than what you are suggesting. And I'm not saying that what you are suggesting is directly incorrect or bad or naughty or anything like that. I'm just saying I don't agree with that philosophy. I understand it's more comfortable. It will probably result in me getting closer to 48s quicker, but I would have no idea what somebody who is faster than me is able to do with the setup that they have published, simply because I am creating a car that is willfully unable to do things faster. And that is my stance. Goddamn, I'm a stubborn motherfucker, aren't I? Also, it's a time thing. I don't want to spend all the time on making the setup. I want to spend the time on driving. I view this car like, at the moment, this is like a fixed setup thing. I don't want to touch any of it unless it's obvious. But so far, I haven't seen anything that's obviously wrong with this setup. The only thing that is wrong is my application of the setup.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Just need some more of that Norwegian Spanish.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I am contemplating installing Duolingo or Babelfish or whatever and getting me some Spanish courses just for the memes. Okay, so last thing I'll add before I stop beating to death this already bludgeoned horse. What the fuck was I supposed to say? God damn it, I fucking hate my short-term memory. It's dog shit. What the fuck was it? It'll come back to me at some point. If it was important enough or good enough for a point, I'll make sure I convey it. Woo! Drifty. Yeah, these tires are dead. Whee! Super dead. Too fast. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting listening to myself reason through this or try to argue against when I review the VOD later. It is a valuable teaching tool. Yeah, let's see. I think it is assuming that I'm driving quali or some shit. Those pressures suggested will not last in a race. I can tell you that much. Two to three. Yes, I did. The only changes I made, if you're still there, is basically I threw one more wing on rear and increased brake ducts to 4 as I have been shifting the brake bias a lot towards the front as to avoid oversteering when coming off the brake and having even the slightest amount of turn in the fast corners. Like, I'm at the
It's
limit.
over 9,000 RPM. I'll do some with the base go setup.
Yep. See. Oh, it's 8 already. What the fuck? I've been I've been driving for 2 hours. It feels like 1 hour 15 minutes maybe max. Okay, let's take some fuel out of this thing. See what it drives like. Ah, there he is. Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember now. From my own experience as a quote-unquote coach, which I am barely worthy the title of, but I do try to help people. I never, ever, 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 ever instruct people to focus on their setup. I always look at what they are doing or could be doing differently in regards to braking, in regards to how they lift off the brake and turn in, how they use turn in and throttle, and it always results in far greater gains than suggesting setup changes. Because if people are doing things incorrectly, there is nothing that can be done through a setup that will help them in any meaningful way long term. I suppose that is the argument I should have opened with. While at the same time acknowledging that the setups are important, but I mean, if you're not on the aggressive default, the likelihood of there being a lot of time to be had by changing setup is very slim. I guess if anything, like if anything were to be translated into me, I would far more appreciate, hey, your lines, your breaking points, your this and your that, than have you increased your your differential. Which I'll give you. You started with trying to help me with my line in Parabolica. But from my perspective, Parabolica is the least of my concerns. It is not where I'm losing all my time. I am losing a lot of time there, yes, but here I'm losing even more. In the chicane I'm losing even more than that. Etc, etc. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to tell me that I have shit lines. Here's what you should do instead. The likelihood of me saying that, yes, I am aware, and I'm trying to, or I am doing the opposite because I am trying to identify things, exist. But that does not mean that I do not want your advice. Just to make that clear. I'm just putting into context what is happening. To put it this way, I would like people to ride my ass in regards to my driving technique in the same way that I sometimes ride other people's asses. That would benefit me far more than plus 20, 30 more rear, too late again, than changing my rear diff. Like for instance, I have no idea which gear should I really be in here. Is second too little? Is it good? Is my entry too late, or is it too early? Is my throttle application on exit too late, too early, etc.? Those are the things, that's where the real games are, in my opinion. Then again, it is only a opinion. And just by having posed that question, I'm up 2/10. Let's see if I can stay off this curb. There you go.
It's over 9,000 RPM. Was that quali fuel or race fuel?
I did a 49.8 with race. Current best is 22 liters. But yeah, I've shifted the brake bias to 66.4 to eliminate the oversteer into fast corners. And I'm also running one more wing, just as a safety blanket. And there's more in it. I'm just literally trying to teach myself to not scrub the tires and try to find as much time as I can without scrubbing. So brake bias 66.4, everything else minor, tire pressures of course. Oh, and I did, yeah, increase caster a little bit. 12.0 I think. Also due to the extreme amount of oversteer. You see, I'm not averse to making things better, but very small changes. Very small changes. Too deep. Okay, so with confidence, third is alright here. Probably here as well. All right. I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it. They just sound eerily. I don't know if you're listening, but all right. So pew pew, food. Be back in a bit. Woo.